Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. It is Tuesday and I hope you guys are having a good day today. I know I've gone over finances and economy and all that kind of stuff a lot, but I found something that I think is really interesting and I wanted to go ahead and go over this with you all to show you what I think, and hopefully it'll get you to thinking and inspiring you to do a little bit more research for yourselves, so that you can see what this is all about. So I'm going to get right into it. So I was just, I don't even remember how I found this article, to tell you the truth. I think I was just looking through the news or something to the internet. Sometimes I just go on Google and I type something in and I see what comes up. And I came up with this: comparing the world's money and markets. Now, this is, when you really look at this, if you look at it just face value, it's kind of cool. But when you really look at this, what I'm about to show you, and really think about it, it's very revealing of what our monetary system really is, which I'll tell you right now what my opinion is. It's a ghost. It's fake. It's not real. Okay? Or at least most of it is not real. I know I didn't do a video about this, but I'm sure you guys saw it out there. A lot of times I won't do a video on something that I've already seen there's 20 videos on, because why do another one, right? But you all heard about, I believe it was Wells Fargo, and I think Citibank also. They had system shutdowns for like 3 days, and people couldn't get money out of the ATMs. They couldn't get money out of their bank. They couldn't use their credit cards or debit cards. They couldn't see their deposits being made in their bank accounts. For like 3 days, people were just stuck. And of course, I believe they blamed it on some kind of a technical glitch or something. Okay? Which it could very well be true that that's what it was. But it's just a reminder of how fragile our system is. The system by which we rely on. Alright? Just how fragile it is and how many points of failures it actually really has. So as you can see, this system, one of its points of failure was technology. They had a glitch or whatever it might have been, and it shut down the whole system. You know, another point of failure that you can call it could be electricity. Okay? Another point of failure can be the internet. So there's several points of failures that can be somewhat catastrophic. All right? And the system by which our economy runs on a daily basis. So I was taking a look at this, and I'm going to go over this chart with you guys really quick, and then I'm going to show you what my analysis of it is, and I'm going to try to make it a little quick, but I really want you to understand this, so please do some more research. And if I miss something, please let me know, okay? Because as I've told you before, I'm not a financial expert, I'm not a financial analyst or anything like that. This is just how I see it, and I like to share it with you to see if you can see something that I missed, because that's how we learn. All right, we can learn from each other. All right, so in the entire world, these are charts that show you how much money / wealth there is, or assets you can call it as well, in the entire world, and it breaks it down by asset class. All right, so here they start off with silver. And everything is denominated in dollars. Okay, so they start off with silver, and they're saying here that and this article is about a year old or so. All right, so that these numbers are probably a little bit off, but not so much that it doesn't make this article or these charts relevant. Okay, so we have approximately 1 billion ounces of silver, and I did a video a long time ago. It was more than 6 months ago, about how much silver we have in the world and how much gold we have in the world and all that stuff. And I remember saying that we had like 1.1 billion ounces of silver above ground, something like that. So I was pretty close. This is showing that we have about 1 billion ounces of silver above ground, which totals to, if you multiply it times the spot price, roughly $17 billion. And of course, as you know, today it's a little less than that, because the price of silver has been manipulated for so long that every time it starts getting a little high, they have to smash it back down in order to keep control. All right, so that's silver. I won't even go over cryptocurrencies. I don't really want to include that in here. Okay, so I'm not going to go over that, but cryptocurrencies market is probably about 120 billion or something like that right now. So I'm not going to go over that. And not including this in the presentation I'm going to show you guys here in a second. Well, it's not really a presentation. It's just a darn spreadsheet that I developed, okay? But not including this is really not going to make a dent, okay? Because there's so much out there, all right, in the world. Okay, so the biggest companies of the world, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. All right, we have Berkshire Hathaway, Microsoft, Alphabet, which is Google, Apple, Facebook, Amazon. Combined, they're worth $807 billion. All right. Now, remember, ladies and gentlemen, this is about a year or so old. Okay. Now it's a little bit more than that. But once you see the numbers, you're going to see that even if we added $1 trillion to this, it's not going to make much of a difference. Okay. All right, so the 50 richest people in the world, okay, are worth $1.9 trillion. California's GDP, 2.9 trillion, which I did not add that to my calculations because it's already in the sauce. This is kind of like they're kind of like double dipping. I would be kind of like double dipping if I added this. Okay. The Fed's balance sheet, 4.5 trillion. And it should be about 4 trillion right now. Okay. Actual currency, and this is in the world. This is not just in dollars. This is denominated in dollars, but this is not just dollar bills. Okay, this is everyone's currency. All right, denominated in dollars or converted into dollars. Okay, so actual coins and banknotes. Okay, so actual change, quarters, dimes, nickels, you know, and also like dollar bills, yuan bills, euro bills, things like that. Dollar bills or money or fiat currency that you can actually hold in your hand. There's 7.6 trillion. Okay, gold. Gold, you're looking at about 187,200 tons, which comes out to roughly 7.7 trillion. That was at $1,275 an ounce, which is close enough to what it is today, which is roughly $1,310, roughly something like that. Okay, so it's close enough. I'm not going to go ahead and change that number. So there's 7.7 trillion. All of the stock markets of the world combined, all right, $73 trillion. Okay. Now here is the global money supply. All right. And they have it into two, all right? So they say narrow money. Narrow money is the total value of the world's easily accessible money. This includes the world's coins, banknotes, and check deposits, okay? So the broad money supply is the total value of the world's money. This includes coins, banknotes, money market accounts, as well as savings, checkings, and deposits, okay? So the entirety of this right here is $90.4 trillion, okay? And then this is the global debt, all right? This is the debt, if you take the debt of all the countries. Well, let me read it. This is the total amount of debt, including that accumulated by governments, corporations, and households. Together, it adds to $215 trillion. And look at how far this goes. All right. And then this is the value of the global real estate, okay, of the entire world. All of the real estate in the world is valued at $217 trillion. All right. And this is where they put estimated value of all developed real estate in the world. All right. This covers residential property, offices, retail space, hotels, industry, industrial land, agriculture land, as well as other commercial uses. Okay, and these are derivatives. Okay, look at the derivatives. Look at how far they go. Keeps going. It keeps going, and it keeps going, and 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 going. Okay, now that's the derivatives. Some of you are asking, what are derivatives? All right, let's go up here. All right, the derivative market. The low-end estimate of the size and scope of global derivative markets is 544 trillion. That's the low end estimate, because they don't really know how much there is out there, but they know there's at least 544 trillion. All right. What is a derivative? All right. It's very simple what a derivative is, but it's kind of hard to picture. Okay. Because it's just fakery. All right. A derivative, in my opinion, has absolutely zero value. Okay. But let's read the definition. A derivative is a contract between two or more parties that derives its value from the performance of an underlying asset, index, or entity. All right. And it says here, for example, future contracts, forward contracts, options, warrants, swaps. Okay. So like, for example, let's use future contracts for an example. Let's say that I'm a farmer and I grow corn. All right. And the price of corn today, when I put the seeds in the ground, the price of corn, I'm going to keep this extremely simple. All right. Let's say the price of corn is $1 per bushel. All right. And that's what it costs today, the day that I planted the seeds in the ground to start the growing season. All right. But let's say that the market, as you see it, you may hear as the farmer that there's a lot of people in the world growing corn this season. And you're thinking that when the corn is ready to harvest and ready to sell, you're thinking that, man, what if, corn only gets me 75 cents a bushel instead of $1? Well, there's an answer to that. You can do what is called a futures contract. Let's say that China or something comes to you and says, hey, listen, we really need corn in China, and I'm willing to offer you $1.10 a bushel for that corn when you're ready to harvest it and ship it. Now you have a decision to make, all right? Now what you're doing is you're kind of like gambling, all right? You're gambling on the fact, if you accept this offer, you're gambling on the notion that, well, if corn goes down below $1 by the time that I'm ready to harvest it, then if I don't take this contract, then I'm going to lose money. But if I take this contract and corn goes to $1.50, I'm not necessarily going to lose money, but I'm not going to be able to sell. I'm not going to be able to make as much as I could have made, right? But you really don't have an idea if the product that you're selling is going to be worth as much as what they're offering today. Okay, so if you take that contract, that's what you're doing is you're gambling that corn is going to be worth less when you're ready to ship it out than $1.10, so that you can be on the right side of the trade. Okay, and then it works the same way, the opposite way. Okay, so let's say, for example, if you take the contract for $1.10, and when you go to sell your corn, the market is pricing corn at only 75 cents a bushel, then you're the smartest guy in the block, right? But let's say you take the contract at $1.10, and when you go to sell the corn is selling for $1.50 a bushel or $1.20 a bushel, then you don't look like the smartest guy in the block anymore. Okay, so that's what you're doing. That's what a derivative is. A derivative is like a bet. A derivative is you're betting that something is going to be more valuable in 6 months or in a year or in a month or in a week or whatever than what it is today. All right, so a derivative gains its value from an underlying asset. All right, which means that a derivative is nothing but a paper bet. All right, it's just a paper bet. There's absolutely zero value in derivatives whatsoever. Okay, so look at all these derivatives. All right, and ladies and gentlemen, please bear with me because I am going to make a point here. All right, so I just want to show you here. All right, now listen to this. The high-end estimate for the value of all derivatives contract is as high as 1.2 quadrillion. 1.2 quadrillion. That's the high-end estimate. All right. Okay, so now that we've got all these numbers, what I did is I took all these numbers and I took the low end numbers, all right, like for the derivatives. I do believe I only used 544, but I'm pretty senile, so let's take a look. As you can see here, I took all of those, what do you call it? I guess I took all of those assets and I put them up here. So we've got silver. It's about $17 billion. The biggest companies are worth $800 billion. The 50 richest people, $1.9 trillion. The federal assets, the Federal Reserves, $4 trillion. All right, this said 4.5, but I'm using 4 here because I know that's what it is today. Physical coins and banknotes, like your dollar bills and your quarters and dimes and nickels, 7.6 trillion. Okay, gold, 7.7 trillion. The world stock market, 73 trillion. Digital money supply, okay, the digital money supply, 82.8 trillion. Okay, so if you take a look at the entire money supply over here, like I was showing you, let me show you real quick so you'll know what I'm talking about. So if you take a look at the entire money supply is 90.4 trillion, but I took out the 7.7 trillion, all right? Of that 90.4 trillion, I took out the, what is it right here? I took out the 7.6 trillion of physical. So this 82.8 trillion that's left over is all digital. This is all digital money supply, okay? So as you can see, off the total of 90.4 trillion, I took out the 7.6 trillion that's physical, and that's what we're left over with, 82.8 trillion, all right? Now global debt is 215 trillion. Global real estate value at 217 trillion. And then global derivatives, the low end. Now remember, the high end was 1.2 quadrillion. The low end, 544 trillion. Okay, so I took all of those numbers, all right, and like I said, I didn't include the cryptocurrencies. It's negligible right now. It's only about 120 billion or so. I didn't want to add that in there to complicate things, okay, because what I'm trying to show you here, what I've got is just plenty, and it still makes a point, a good point. Okay, so then what I did is I took these numbers and I split them up a little bit. So take a look at these numbers here on the left hand side of the screen. This encompasses this is stuff that has real value, okay? And even though we got physical banknotes and coins here, what I'm saying about real value is that you can actually take this and go get something else with it, okay? So you've got silver at 17 billion, physical coins and banknotes at 7.6 trillion, I'm sorry, and gold 7.7 trillion for a total of 15 trillion 317 billion, okay? So this is stuff that you can actually get things with, all right? If I want to exchange my silver for fiat, I can go to a coin shop, sell it to them, get fiat, and then I can go take the fiat and buy something with it, okay? Same thing with fiat, physical notes. You can take your fiat right now and you can go buy something with it, all right? Same thing with gold, all right? We have a total of 15.3 trillion dollars worth of assets that you can actually buy things with, okay? Now this is the problem that I find, okay, and this is where I'm going to get at right now. So if we take the value of the biggest companies, which is 800 billion, all right, the value of the 50 richest people in the world, which is 1.9 trillion. And you know what? I was thinking about this, and I think I'm going to turn this into zero, because these people that have the 1.9 trillion dollars worth of assets, that's already commingled. So if they have fiat, it's already in those numbers. If they have money in the bank, it's already in the numbers that we've already got. If they have houses and stuff, it's going to be in the real estate numbers. So I'm going to turn this to zero to make it better, okay? Because I don't want to double dip, all right? So now we're left with everything in the world that has some kind of value in reference to fiat, all right? These are all values that are nominated in fiat currencies. We have a total of 1 quadrillion $136 trillion, $607 billion of things in the world that you can buy. So for example, I want to make sure you understand this. For example, let's say that I was a trillionaire and I had $20 trillion, all right, that belonged to me. If I wanted to, I can go to the Fed, to the Federal Reserves, and say, hey, listen, I want to buy all of your assets. Here's $4 trillion. Let me get all of that crap you got in your vaults. All right. I can go in there and do that. The world stock market. If I wanted, I can buy the entire world stock market. If I had $73 trillion. All right. The money supply. This money supply here is digital money supply. Okay. So you can't just go and get it because it doesn't really exist. That's why it's not up here. Okay. That's why it's not up there. All right. The global debt. $215,000. If I had $215 trillion. If I had $215 trillion, I can go to every country in the world and say, here, I'm paying off your debt. All right. These are things that we can get, all right, that we can pay for if we have the money to pay for it. Same thing with real estate, same thing with the derivatives, all right? I am more than certain that if I went to every bank in the world and said, hey, can I buy your derivatives off of you, that they will be more than happy to sell it to me. Okay, so that's $1.136 quadrillion. Okay, here's the problem. Here's the problem. There's $1.136 quadrillion of things in the world, all right, that are valued in dollars, but there's one problem. The world only has $15 trillion that actually exist. There's only $15 trillion in the world that actually exist, all right, in the form of silver, physical coins and banknotes, and gold. So what if one of those points of failure did go down? What if the internet did go down? What if electrical power did go down? This right here is all we would have to purchase things, okay? What do you think is going to happen to the price of these things? We've got $1.136 quadrillion worth of assets, but we only have $15 trillion in actual physical existence. What do you think will happen to the price of all of these things? If we lost the ability to print money out of thin air, all right? And if we lost the ability to make money out of thin air through the banking system, the price of all of these things would plummet. Why? Because the money that it would take to get these things does not exist. Even the digital money supplies, like for example, the money that you have in savings and checking and CDs and IRAs, pension funds, all that kind of stuff, even that money doesn't exist. We don't even have enough physical money in the entire world. We have maybe what, 1/5? We have less than 1/5 of physical money in the form of fiat, gold, and silver in the entire world of what it would take to exchange it for digital money. All right? So that's my point when I say, and you guys have heard me say this time and time again, that the stock market is fake. All right? That the money in the banks is not really there. These derivatives are worthless. All right? And real estate is extremely overvalued. We don't even have enough money in the world. We've got 15 trillion. And then let's say that this money all of a sudden turned into cash. Plus 82 trillion. So let's say that we have $100 trillion, you know, if we add those two together, which is a little less. We don't even have enough money in the world to buy half of the real estate in the world. So if something happens, some kind of a systemic disruption, and you can go through all of the things that you want to go through. Okay, EMP, SHTF, internet failure, coronal mass, anything. All right, ladies and gentlemen, anything. If something happened on a mass level that would bring down the banking system, all of these things would disappear. $1.136 quadrillion worth of fictional wealth would disappear. the only thing we would be left with is this right here. And who knows if the physical banknotes would be any good at that point. The only thing we would really be left with is gold and silver if things went horribly bad, okay? So that's the point I'm trying to make. So right now we only have enough money in the world to back up 1.3% right here, this number right here. Right now we only have enough money in the world to back up 1.3% of the world's total assets. And that's the low end, all right? Remember, the global derivatives alone was the high end, estimated at 1.2 quadrillion, all right? So that's the low end, all right? So now to give it a better picture, all right, to make it a better picture, I went ahead and I made believe on this side right here, I made believe that the digital money supply, we can actually get it. Let's say that we can actually get to our digital money supply and we add it into the money that we have available to us, all right? That would give us almost $100 trillion, okay? It would give us almost $100 trillion worth of money that we can use to buy assets, okay? In that case, we would have just over 9% of the money needed to buy the assets in the world, all right? Because debt, all right, we would still need to pay that debt off. So we would still need money to pay that debt off, all right? So don't get confused about debt is an asset to a bank. If a bank loans money out, they consider that an asset, all right? So even in the best case scenario, we only have, as a world, as the entire world, we have less than 10% of the money that is in existence to cover all of the assets in the world. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know about you, but I think that right there is a recipe for destruction, right? That's why and I'm not giving anyone advice because I'm not a financial advisor. That's why I think that it's extremely important to have a hedge against money. To have a hedge against, not money, but fiat currencies, against fiat. To have a hedge against your mortgage, if you have a mortgage, all right? And what is that hedge? For me, that hedge is, of course, the 5 B's of prepping, all right? To include precious metals. Because in the history of the world, every time that we've had a major collapse in any financial systems, gold and silver have always retained their purchasing power. And that's what you're looking for. You're looking for your purchasing power. You're not looking for it to double or triple or quadruple or go up 1,000% nominally, because at that point it wouldn't matter what the nominal value of it is. The only thing that would matter is what can it buy. But this right here, to me, I think it's the best hedge to have against debt. And dollars in your pockets are technically debt. They are debt instruments. All right? Silver and gold are not debt instruments. Their value is derived within itself. All right? Silver's value is derived within itself. All right? Gold's value is derived within itself. Okay? So that there is always going to maintain its purchasing power, be it 20 years from now or 40 years from now or 50. Okay? The reason why you've seen these markets, the gold and silver markets over the last 40, 50 years be so volatile, not really volatile. Gold has actually kept pace with inflation in the last 45, 50 years. Okay? But the only reason you see it go down, up and down, is because it's been manipulated. Because if the powers that be, if the Federal Reserve, if the central bankers, if they let the free market take over the valuation of gold and silver, then central banks will no longer exist, because people would know what has real value. But they can't do that. So they manipulate it by having all of these other derivative markets. For example, if you take a look at the U.S. national debt clock and you take a look at how many dollars per gold ratio there is, or how many dollars per silver ratio there is, it's a lot more than 1 to 1. You know, it's a lot more than what it should be. Meaning that for every ounce of gold or for every ounce of silver out there, there's a whole bunch of paper contracts that only represent the value of gold and silver, but don't actually hold that value. Okay, so that's what I wanted to get at. Just remember that, for example, if I have $100,000 mortgage, I think it would be smart for myself to get $10,000 worth of gold, because in the worst of worst times, that gold will definitely go up exponentially, and you would at least be able to pay off your mortgage and not be thrown out on the streets. Okay, that's why I say that gold and silver are a hedge against debt. Not only are they a hedge against actual debt that you owe money to someone for, like a mortgage per se, but it's actually a hedge against the dollars or digital dollars that you hold in your pocket or in the bank. Because if those go to zero, then you know for sure that real money, real assets will go up. Just like if the dollar went to zero, a can of beans is going to go up exponentially. It might cost you $150 to buy a can of beans. Well, let's say if the gold, if the dollar, hyperinflated and really go to zero. All right, because no matter how many dollars you have, if it goes to zero, it'll have absolutely no value unless you want to use it to wipe your hind end or to use it as tinder. All right, so that's what I want to get at, ladies and gentlemen, is to show you guys what the state of our world, not economics, but monetary system is. This is the state that our world monetary system is, where right now the world only has 9.29% of all the money it would need in order to actually pay for all of the assets that there are in the world. And I think this is actually a high number. It's probably a lot lower than this, because I think these derivatives are probably closer to a quadrillion than they are to 544 trillion. Let's go ahead and change that 544 trillion to 1 quadrillion and see what happens. Look at that. If the derivatives market really is 1 quadrillion, we would only have 6.3% of the money that we needed in order to purchase all of the assets that the world says we have. Okay, so that was the main point of this video. I just wanted to show you that these companies, all of these assets that these people say they have, that are in these instruments, ladies and gentlemen, it really doesn't exist. This here, these dollar signs, all right, they really don't exist. At the very most, all right, they're only worth about 6 to 10% of what they're saying that they are worth. Okay, so that's my point, ladies and gentlemen. I truly hope that you enjoyed this little presentation. I try to make it very simple as I see it, because I am definitely a layman. All right, so I hope you got something out of it, and I hope that you guys go take a look for yourselves. And like I said, if there's something on here that I might have missed, go ahead and leave it in the comments. I'm more than happy to take criticism in any way, as long as it's positive, as long as we can learn from it. All right, that's what this is all about. So, all right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and leave you off with that. So remember to be good to each other. When good people do good things happen. Remember to reach one, teach one, and repeat. If we all did this, the world would be a better place, and you know that it will be a better place. Oh, I almost forgot. I've got one shout out. A shout out to Typo. All right, Typo, thank you very much. I received your donation, and as far as buying me a coffee. So thank you very much for buying me a coffee, and I really want to thank you for that. That was very generous of you. Typo actually bought me more than one coffee. So I truly do appreciate all of you that are giving me a little bit of extra caffeine through that buy me a coffee link that I put up. So it truly is appreciated. I just want to make sure that you all know that. So thank you again, Typo. Very, very appreciative of that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, many blessings to all of you and your families. This is Alaska Prepper, and I'm out.